Welcome to Out of the Box from Hudson County Community College. In these podcasts, we bring you timely discussions about education, people, programs, events, issues, and solutions that affect the education and enrichment of the people of Hudson County. I'm Chris Reber, president of Hudson County Community College and your podcast host, and we are delighted to be here at Hudson County Community College's North Hudson campus in Union City to discuss a subject of enormous importance to us, and I would say a subject we are all passionate about, and that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Joining me today are two valued colleagues and co-chairs of our President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Lilisa Williams is Director of Faculty and Staff Development. Welcome, Lilisa.
Thank you, Dr. Reber. So glad to be here.
Delighted to have you here. And also we welcome the Executive Director of this beautiful North Hudson campus, Yeurys Pujols.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reber. Happy to be here.
I'd like to introduce our topic today and then really hear from our co-chairs of the President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We call it PACDEI, and they're going to talk about some incredible work that has really galvanized our whole college community. And I'm starting my third year as president. And when I first arrived, I spent a lot of time in a listening tour, really taking time to get to know all of my colleagues, all constituencies in the college community, students, faculty, staff, community leaders and representatives. And then we conduct town hall meetings at least once a month that are open to everyone, usually about a 90-minute community conversation where we share ideas and concerns, and I have an opportunity to hear from members of our community. And out of these early discussions in my presidency, there was a clear, compelling theme of shared interest, commitment, and values among all members of our community. And that was the importance to all of us of diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of its forms. And there are a few reasons for that. One is we're one of the most diverse college communities in the United States of America, and we are very proud of that. Serving, of course, residents in the most densely populated county, in the most densely populated state in the United States, and Jersey City, the home to our Journal Square campus, is the most diverse city in the United States. So we are a community comprised of many cultural backgrounds. A third of our students speak English as a second language. A third of our students actually emigrated here from a foreign country. 56% of our students are Latino. 87% of our students are non-white. We have every sector of our rich, diverse community represented in our college community. So this became a clear and compelling theme, and as a result, it led to our establishing just about exactly a year ago a brand new organization at Hudson County Community College called the President's Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And this is a group of some 38 students, faculty, staff, trustees, college foundation board members, community representatives, community leaders who come together on a regular basis to advance and support our shared collective values around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so with that background, I'd like to invite my colleagues, Lilisa and Yeurys, to speak a bit about the work of PACDEI and their leadership and their perspectives about why this is important for Hudson County Community College, what it means as we go forward and attempt to reach our future aspirations, and anything else they want to share. And if I might, I'll start with Lilisa, and then we'll go to Yeurys.
All right, so thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for, again, inviting us and asking that question. When it was mentioned and we were on the brinks of having this President Advisory Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, it really just fit. It just fit right into what I saw we were already wanting, something we were desiring, and that was to give everyone a voice.
And Yeurys, this really started from the ground up, didn't it?
One of the themes behind all of this work is transparency. the idea that you don't have 10 individuals in the back making decisions. Everything that we're doing at the college is done through large committees that brings everything, every opinion. And then whenever you have the survey, I remember when we conducted the climate survey, we told the president, we have the results. And I said, okay, when are you sharing it with everybody? And that's been the approach to everything: transparency, collective decision-making, a sense of community, and very happy to be here today, and very proud to be representing this initiative. Thank you.
Speak, if you would, Yeurys, a little bit about where we are going now, having heard the input of our community, having looked at those survey comments about our climate and where we need to focus our energy. Where are we headed?
We started with a climate survey. We've taken everybody's opinions. Everyone's voice has been counted into the process. And we were able to design a process that took all of those 800 inputs and filtered it down through the college community, through open forums, through discussions at PACDEI after that. And we were able to narrow it down to 3 specific subgroups. One dealing specifically with program, training, infrastructure. The second one dealing with human resources practices, essentially the lifetime of an employee, from the intake, promotions, and recruitment to the internal promotions of individuals. And then the third one deals with safety, security, and incident reporting, because we want to make sure that everyone knows exactly where to go. And now we're working on a strategic plan that we're hoping that will embed that into every other initiative that is going on at the college, like the Achieving the Dream program, the academic master plan.
The events that have unfolded since this work commenced a year and a little over a year ago, none of us could have foreseen. So we got started, the PACDEI got formed, the climate survey was done, the organization has a whole charter, a values statement, and we were off and running. And then in December, we all experienced the pain of the tragic shootings in Jersey City that were really driven by anti-Semitic hatred. And then the pandemic came upon us, and we found ourselves with virtually no notice, having to leave the campus, having to begin to work and study virtually. And then we had the local, regional, national ugliness of horrific murders and injustices that gained national attention. This is not new, unfortunately, for our country, but it galvanized our nation in the specific impact it has had on all of us as we think about the cadence of injustice that has pervaded really our history. How did those events that we could not have planned for, Lilisa, impact the work of PACDEI and our college community in your own experience?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Reber. Thank you. Chris, thank you. It expanded our reach, it expanded our efforts, it expanded our mission, it expanded what we as PACDEI came together for. We came together to give people a voice. We came together to make sure that everyone in our community felt they had somewhere that they could go if they had any types of concerns or if they had any types of feelings about themselves not being included in some kind of way. And so having those events launched our goal number 1, which has to do with training and programming. It launched us into a series of programs, and luckily we had the talent in-house and those in the community that we were able to, again, through inclusivity, keeping that front and center, and also the equity piece, and realizing our diversity, we were able to offer programs after programs. We offered visuals for individuals who needed healing. We offered symposiums for individuals who also needed to have their voices heard, have their stories told. It just really, I think those incidents, even though they were tragic, we started off many of our PACDEI meetings and town halls, and we even had a couple of special town halls and discussions, open forums, so that people could just come and either listen or just share what they were feeling. Some people were feeling frustration, fear, sadness, and it gave us an opportunity to really put some core meaning around PACDEI at Hudson County Community College, what it would stand for, and how we would bring to life the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because like you said, Dr. Reber, those events, starting with the events in Jersey City, and then those around the country, it like touched everybody. And so it showed us that this is not about one person. And I really think that it also allowed us to see that we could jumpstart, that we could just dive right in, and that we were ready to take on this mission.
Yeurys, you've been involved in a lot of the programming, and honestly, it's happening literally daily. I see programs that are being offered that have and this has grown as a result of our initial experience. Can you talk a bit about the kinds of programs we've offered and maybe your perspectives on how that's impacted our community?
Of course, of course. When you're talking about inclusivity, being respectful and responsive to people's feelings, to perspectives, you know, we needed to, as Lilisa mentioned, we needed to refocus, make sure that we gave a voice to those individuals, you know, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many, many others. And he talks about racism, he talks about injustice. And the programs that came about, I want to say that this is one of those aspects that PACDEI was a part of it. But I want to give credit to the entire college community, to our colleagues, to our friends, that people say, you know what, I want to have a book talk on this particular book that talks specifically to that. Someone came up, it's like, hey, I want to have a vigil. We want to, you know, and then we just came together to make those events. And throughout the summer, we had an incredible programs that they promoted open dialogue, they promoted inclusion, and they essentially, it was like a healing series, if you will.
You know, in addition to the shared values around diversity, equity, and inclusion, the college community has also become galvanized around student success. You know, we all recognize, I think all of us on the faculty and staff, the common denominator in all of our work is students. We all believe passionately in the importance of student success, and that's the fundamental core reason we're together, is to help students succeed and have opportunities for life-changing growth and development. So students have been involved in all parts of our diversity, equity, and inclusion work. We became recently, a year ago, a new member college in a national reform movement called Achieving the Dream, which is really about applying data and best practice to continuous improvement around student success, meaning retention, graduation, gainful employment, transfer to four-year institutions. And the underlying principle of that student success work is equity. And so these pieces sort of mesh beautifully. Lilisa, can you talk a bit about how students have been involved in the DEI work?
I'm glad you brought that up, because students have really impacted me a lot in their response to DE&I. From the survey, from the initial survey that went out, we had more students participate in the survey, and we had students tell us that they did want to see diversity, equity, and inclusion at Hudson, and they felt that that was an important topic from the leaders, from their faculty, and from the staff. And it also gave students an opportunity. They attend our forums, they attend our discussion, our open discussion opportunities, and they speak up. They don't just come and be silent. They actually come and they give voice. They tell us what they're really feeling, what they've experienced. We have students on the PACDEI committee, and so that's very nice to have them. As a matter of fact, one student is a subcommittee co-chair. And that student takes a lot of leadership opportunities and showing up to regular meetings, holding their own subcommittee meetings, giving suggestions and thoughts and about what to do and what needs to be done. And what's so powerful about that is that we get the students' perspective as we build out.
It's not, however, all hugs and kisses, so to speak. You know, we've had tough conversations that I think are really part of this. In fact, I'm thinking back to that first special town hall after the Jersey City shootings. And I opened it, and I had sent a letter to the college community on behalf of the community expressing, you know, our deep feelings and values associated with this. And the first comment or question that was asked of me was a very pointed, blunt, somewhat angry question, like, why did it take me, whatever it was, 4 or 5 days to send that letter? Why wasn't that letter out immediately? And why weren't we more focused on day one when this was happening in our communication? And I really had to say, you're right, mea culpa, it did take me too long. And I think that kind of honesty and willingness to be vulnerable in these conversations is what makes it so powerful. I think we've learned in the many programs and conversations that really all of which have lots of students involved, we have so far been able to ensure that we have a sense of safety and respect so that we can disagree with one another and disagree civilly and respectfully. And we've had a fair amount of that as well. I mean, our topics have covered everything. Certainly ethnic diversity, religious issues, LGBTQ issues, gender issues, and on and on. And out of that comes honest angst and disagreement. And that's okay. And I think it's really important, Yeurys, don't you, that part of this conversation isn't just about celebration, but it's really about sharing some of those feelings and sometimes disagreements?
100%. 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. There's something called psychological safety. If I am sitting at a table and I disagree with whatever has been said, or I have a point that I need to make, what if I don't feel comfortable? What if I feel that my boss is going to come after me and call me out on it, or isn't that appropriate? That limits the benefit of inclusion. But you go to meetings. I've been at the college. I'm fortunate to be not only a graduate of the college, an alum, but I've been at the college for 15 years as an employee. And I've seen people over the last couple of years feel speaking up, saying things that they would normally not have said in the past.
Yeurys, you're causing me to remember one of the students who called into a town hall, and we've had lots of students speak. One that was so memorable shared that prior to not just the town halls, but all of the programming and the events that have brought us together, prior to that, she was not sure she could even succeed here. She lives in a community that is full of crime and danger. She had all kinds of personal challenges in her life, wasn't at all sure that she could even succeed, and not only found that she could, but found that because of the caring, open, honest, really inspirational sharing of all community members, she felt inspired to go back to her own community, and she's now developed a block association and has tried to emulate some of what she's seen at the college, bringing people together and working together to try to solve common problems.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh. And the other thing I wanted to share is leading by example is so important. And my two colleagues here, both, whether they realize it or not, provide inspirational leadership through their example. Each has shared with me and others that they had considerable adversity and challenges in their early lives, and not only have overcome those, but are now excelling, and by their example, I think providing inspiration to others who have similar life experiences and challenges. I'm going to ask Yeurys if he would briefly share his inspirational life story, because he's an alumnus of Hudson County Community College.
Thank you, Dr. Reber. This is very special to me, the fact that I get to work at Hudson County Community College, the fact that I get to speak to some individuals that might not feel that they have a voice. As Dr. Reber mentioned, I am an immigrant. I was not born here. I learned to speak English, still learning. I came here when I was 13, and I was fortunate enough to end at Hudson County Community College. I did not really have a strategic plan of where I was going to end up. Things just kind of worked. But the work that I did here, the professors that taught me, the professionals that work at the college that I was fortunate enough to interact with, they gave me inspiration. They gave me the tools to go out there and do the work. So I was able to go out there, get a bachelor's degree, get a master's degree. I'm proud to say that I'm now, together with Lilisa, we're working on a doctorate program together. And all of that, I have to say, that foundation that allowed me to tell the story is because of my tenure, my time here at Hudson as a student.
One of the ways it influenced us is we have come together to create something we call Hudson Helps. We recognize that in a recent survey conducted by another partner institution, Temple University, that has a Hope Center that is surveying students across the nation in all of higher education, 68% of Hudson County Community College students in a recent Hope Center survey indicated that in the last year they experienced one or more of three conditions: homelessness, housing insecurity, food insecurity. 68%. If you're dealing with those kinds of issues as a student, no wonder it might be hard to finish a credential or a degree. So we came to realize our work is about much more than important things like tutoring and academic support and making sure that we have the financial aid tools to help our students succeed. It's also about recognizing the challenges of their life experience that have now become compounded by the current challenges facing our entire community. So our Hudson community came together, opened 2 food pantries, one at the Journal Square campus, one at this North Hudson campus, and those have taken off. We have all kinds of contributions of food and financial support, and we are making those pantries available to anyone without having to share any background information. They're open, they're in places where people can feel comfortable going and getting food that they need. The thousands of students, and I surmise faculty, staff, and some community residents that have used those food pantries have convinced us that we need to go farther. So our nationally recognized chefs in our Culinary Arts Institute now are preparing gourmet meals, partly through the classroom work that we're doing, and packaging those meals, sealing them, freezing and refrigerating them, and we are providing meals that students and others can take not only for themselves but for their family, for their children. And added to that now are clothing closets for clothing when students need them for professional meetings. And this then resulted in a whole umbrella of supports that are going to be located in one place as we completely come back to a new normal, that will provide SNAP assistance for students who need help in applying for SNAP food funding assistance, personal counseling, mental health counseling, social workers, through partnerships with graduate programs at NYU and Rutgers, and community representatives that can help students with childcare needs, a whole variety of needs. This is an umbrella of caring people who bring expertise and support to help ensure that every member of our community, regardless of what their life experience is, knows not only that they can succeed, but knows that we are here to be partners with them in helping ensure that they succeed. Because we always say our student success is our success. Yes. So Yeurys and Lilisa, we have a way that we like to end these podcasts. It's really become fun and also very meaningful. If you were able to describe what Hudson County Community College means to you in one word, what would that word be, Yeurys?
Well, for me, it would have to be transformative.
Transformative.
For me, that would be creativity.
Creativity, transformative, creative, and my word is always inspirational. Lilisa and Yeurys, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you all for joining us for this session of Out of the Box. We hope you'll visit our website, hccc.edu, and share this videocast with your friends and family. And please stay safe and well. Thanks so much.